$100,000. Today, we've come back to you with a lower amount. We have made adjustments to the budget on different line items, and also we have taken into consideration that the building of 549, that project will not be in full force during the 2020 budget year, so we could come down on a lot of those previous adjustments. We just over budgeted for some of those line items. So we come for you today requesting that you approve a budget of $7,974,158. Anyone have any questions on any specific line items that we adjusted or?
I need to know.
Sure, no problem. In the regular earnings last month, or at the first of the month, we estimated that the new employee would bring in $45,000, I'm sorry, but that was for a full year. The person that is possibly going to be in charge of that building, managing that building, will only come in for approximately 9 months. So that amount went down to $51,784 from $69,045. Down to office supplies, we originally allocated $13,500 for 549. We are decreasing that amount to $1,000, and that is just to get the office supplies started in that building. It probably will be for 3 months or less. Also, the building maintenance, we had estimated that 549 would have $97,500. We have decreased that amount also to $2,000. Now, back in our base budget, we made some adjustments. The contingency, originally, we were requesting $90,000, and we are now only requesting $75,000. Travel and entertainment, we were requesting $25,000. We are now requesting $20,000. Education and training, other contractual agreements, we originally were requesting $50,000. We dropped that down also to $12,000. And we took away the $74,300 for 549 Proctor Street and other contractual services, so delete that amount. In development, we originally requested $1.5 million. Well, we did increase that to $2.5 million. Business park development originally was $200,800, and we also increased that one to $250,000. Promotional programs, we originally requested $146,000. We are now requesting $100,000. Job training, we originally requested $325,000. We are increasing that to $400,000. And the $83,200 is remaining the same because that is for the summer youth program. The water utilities, we originally requested $10,500. We're bringing that down to $2,400 because we will only be covering this building and not 549. So that increase was, a lot of the increases was for the 549 Proctor Street location. In electricity, we originally requested $150,000. We dropped that down to $40,000 for the EDC building and $10,000 for 549 Proctor. The line item for gas originally was $6,000. We have decreased that to $2,000. Communication, $75,000 is what we were requesting, and now we're requesting only $25,000. In the building, we originally requested or allocated 1.5. We're dropping that down to 1 million. In streets, we originally requested 400,000. We're decreasing that to 200,000. Furniture and fixtures for EDC, we had requested, allocated $15,000. We decreased that to $10,000, but the $500,000 will remain for 549 Proctor Street. Those are all the changes that we made to the base budget in 549, and those numbers is what brings us to the new amount that we're asking for you to approve tonight, of $7,974,158.
You know, we approved for Lamar that vocational training, craft training grant. Did we put that in the budget, that $1 million that we were going to match for that $5 million grant, or is that not in this budget?
It's not in this budget until we receive the grant.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. And I will say that you have a fund balance of about $8.8 million, so you have money if you need money.
Are we anticipating that we move into the new building? How long will we be in the new building for the new year?
We anticipating by the fall of 20, so we budgeting just a quarter of a year, about a quarter of a year for it.
Okay. Are we hiring the new employee prior to that for training purposes?
The thought here, Ms. Holmes and Commissioners, is we need to get that person in at least 6 months prior to, so we could put policy in place, and it's a lot of working parts to this building,
right.
You know. So we would like to have that person come in at least 6 months prior to the opening of that building. And I think we budget 9 months, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
549. Other than Lamar, are we getting a lot of inquiries about the building? I mean, as far as...
We haven't advertised.
Hadn't
That's
advertised.
one of the things that, you know, we want that person here for 6 months because, you know, not only office space, but you will have co-working space. You're going to have, you know, it's a lot of moving parts in that building that we have to promote to get people in that building. The commercial kitchen, you know, yeah. And so it's a lot of moving parts there, and like I was saying to the chairman, that's why we would like to have that person on board at least 6 months prior to the opening of that building.
Any other questions? We're going to vote on that shortly, but we'll go ahead and proceed with the rest of the agenda. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You've received a copy of the minutes of the regular meeting, May 6th. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
It's been approved and second to approve the minutes of the May 6th meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Are there any presentations, Mr. Baptiste? Okay. Communications.
Communication, you have one communication in your package from the Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce Leadership Breakfast, which will be May the 29th. And in the past, if you guys wish to attend, just let Joni know, and we buy individual tickets.
So is Commissioner Senecal one of the speakers?
I think, yes, Commissioner Senegal and Larry Kelly,
Okay.
the port director.
I see. Thank you. There being no, unfinished business to discuss, we'll move on to the non-considered agenda items. Number 1, to discuss for possible consideration approval of the 2019-2020 budget. It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 1. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2, to discuss for possible consideration rescinding the approval to sell property located at 4th Street between Mobile and Shreveport to Landon Roberts and Jeremiah Roberts.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioner, I would like to take number 2 and number 3 to closed session.
Okay, agenda items number 2 and 3 will be taken to executive session. Agenda item number 4, to discuss for possible consideration the terms and conditions of the economic incentive for Robogistics LLC.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, you guys, several weeks we've been talking about Robogistics and their intent to locate their business here in Port Arthur. We do have 2 gentlemen here from Robogistics to provide you with what they're going to be doing, and if you have some questions, we certainly would like to entertain that. Dave?
Hello, board members. I'm J.C. Caraway. I'm with Robogistics. First of all, we'd like to appreciate y'all giving us some time. I'd like to thank Mr. Batiste for championing us and trying to bring our company here to Port Arthur. Our company and the people, the personnel that have been with our company, we're all from Southeast Texas. We've been in the robotics industry for over 250 man years. Just of experience alone in our key team. We sell to Fortune 500 companies as well as to privately owned clientele. One thing that we're not is we're not a petrochemical company. We are a technology company. The nice thing is we're wanting to bring that technology, and it is a cutting edge technology for material handling industry, to Port Arthur. So we could have a facility here where we not only encourage different buyers or different companies to come in and take a look at us. We're talking to people like Sherwin-Williams, Continental Tire, Bridgestone Firestone. These are all clientele that we service and support, and these are multi-million-dollar customers of ours. I'm going to ask Mr. Hayes to come up and show you. We brought a couple of things that we can show you, because you tell people robotics or material handling, and a lot of times they don't really understand exactly what you're meaning.
We got to get the TV light back up. It turned off on us while we weren't looking.
If you'll plug it up, it might just come
I don't think so, because the TV is listening to that other device.
While you're doing that, Dave,
Yes,
I
sir.
would tell the board that approximately 2 years ago, I visited C&D Robotics in Beaumont off Fournette Road, and we was trying to get you guys to move back here in Port Arthur then, and I think we have some great plans. I know George's been working very close with Tony and Mr. Caraway about trying to put some of this stuff in the school system and the local college, because they want to build a local workforce, and they know they have to build a local workforce. It's hard to find the talent that these people need, and I think they're going to work with us very closely to try to build that talent pool locally. Get something, man?
I'd like for the television to turn on like it was a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I was about to try that.
The IT guy here, Caraway. That may have had, we have had some flashing all week.
Who's Caraway? Which one's Caraway?
This guy right there. Sound is the big guy.
We don't want to take up the board's time waiting for a television to turn on, but we do want to explain to you a little bit about what we do. Now, I have a very small screen if you would like to see, or I can just explain.
Anyway,
I can, and we can try that. You're welcome to.
It won't work.
If you so desire. We are involved in developing a number of technologies in what's called the material handling business. The material handling usually has to do with after something is produced, what do you do with it? So if you imagine people that make tires or televisions or stovetops or just about anything, the fact, and then something happens to them. A lot of stuff gets put in a cardboard box. Tires do not get put in a cardboard box, but a tire plant might make 50,000 tires a day, and that's a lot of tires that have to go somewhere. And so one of the technologies that we employ and sell is for palletizing tires, stacking tires. And tires come on a conveyor, and nowadays, after the Ford incident with the what was it, the Ford and Bridgestone tires, it was a big hoo-ha some years ago. If you look on your tire, there's a little bitty barcode on every tire that's made underneath the rim, and so we read that and use that to sort and track and have accountability down to the tire, and our machines lift and move this material around and sort it and handle a lot of big data associated with tires and paint and production and the logistics and moving all these products around. We are involved in developing technology for self-driving vehicles in the industrial setting, fork trucks that don't have a person on them, that move around and guide by camera or by laser. We are involved in developing what's called order picking. And order picking, if you imagine the case of paint, and I have a video here that I'll show. And I know you won't be able to see it all from where you're at, and I apologize for that. Anyone's welcome to step up, and I can also take the laptop around. What you'll see here are some of our machines. Look like overhead cranes moving around in the background. And those three machines that you can see are half of this system. And they are each about 100 feet long and 50 feet wide and are moving around cases of paint at a Sherwin-Williams distribution center. And so this particular system is somewhere in the range of $6-7 million worth of industrial automation. What you can kind of see here is about half of what's going on, and it's kind of a wide shot. But you get a little bit the idea. Some of our machines look kind of like an overhead crane, but robotic. And so the data that accompanies some of these systems is big. If you imagine they're making thousands and thousands of mixed orders every day, where a Sherwin-Williams paint store calls up these folks and says, I need 2 of those and 1 of those and 3 of those. And that information filters down to our equipment, and the robots go and pick those things and build a mixed order of palette for a store of different paints. And that sort of thing we do with all kinds of products. And it's high tech. We employ heuristic, bordering on artificial intelligence type algorithms. There's a lot of computing, and it requires some heavy-duty skill sets. It does. And so we'll be looking to staff engineering positions, electrical, construction type, welding, shop, fab, paint. We are a manufacturer of this equipment. We're not buying it out and then just selling it. We make this gear. And so those are the sorts of things that we're involved in. It's pretty high tech. It's a lot of fun. Been doing it for a long, long time. Does anybody want to ask anything? Yes, sir.
Moving to the industrial park, Iron Park.
The industrial park is on our horizon, yes,
Yes.
sir. The inventory available for buildings, there just isn't something available ready-made. We've been working with Mr. Batiste on the Armory building, and we're looking at leasing that as a sort of a temporary. And then again, we may want to keep that as a technical center. It isn't suitable for setting up a big system, but it is suitable for a technical center and doing engineering and testing and these sorts of things. But the industrial park is what we're looking at to build a final building, yes.
Commissioner, currently, they are discussing a lease agreement with the city for the Armory building for 1 year, with the intent to rent, lease on a month-to-month basis afterward. The intent is to build a 50 to 60,000 square foot building in the business park, because the Armory building, my understanding, the head is not high enough, right?
The main challenge is the height. It is overall just too small for
Right.
setting up big systems, but the biggest challenge is the ceiling.
Right.
Isn't the Armory building the one we're going for a grant? No. It's not it?
No.
Huh? Oh, there's two Armory
Yeah, there's
buildings.
one over on
Oh, I didn't-
57th Street.
I just think of
I think
the
it's-
Armory building's the only one.
57, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused.
The light's on. I think it comes on when it likes to come on. Let's see if this does something. Oh, I have a good feeling about this. So again, this is a system in a Sherwin-Williams distribution center in the Waco area. And what you see here are three robotic cranes moving around. And each one of those stacks of cardboard boxes is a 40 by 48, roughly a 40 by 48 pallet. So these are big machines. That bridge you see moving is 40, 45 feet wide, and these may be 80 or 100 feet long. And that's one such system that we deploy and working with our customers. Let's see what else I've got that's interesting. Yes, sir. The question is, do we design and build? We do. We're the OEM of these machines. We have we're looking to set up the engineering staff to further those designs. There are some changes and improvements that we want to make and take the industry by storm. And we're looking for the right place to set up that effort and do. And it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of highly talented folks. But yes, we design and build those. Now, there's some equipment that we buy. If you've seen little articulated arm robots, those are more of a commodity nowadays. You would buy something like that, but that's actually not our core product. Our core product are these big machines, and the self-driving vehicle.
About how many employees do you think you will need? Or
We've projected somewhere around 30 in the next 4 or 5 years. Is that right? Right. And so we are gung ho, and have always been. We drive hard and solve problems as we go. So that we think that's a good number, a conservative number. Some of us believe that's a small number. We'll need more than that. But we're trying to present you with something we think is realistic, that we can beat.
One of the things, Commissioner, and I think George could speak to it better than me, he been dealing with Tony and Sal. You know, they want to put this in the school system because they have to build that talent pool, and they want to go into the high school and the junior college. You want to talk to that, Jordan?
Yeah, what we kind of talked about mostly was giving these guys the best employee that we can give them here in Port Arthur. And doing so, we figure if we go to the high school, implement it in the CATE program, give them maybe 2 years in high school, then lead them on to Lamar, get the next 2 years, well, then they can come straight to them with 4 years experience, or even if it's the 2 to get to, you know, maybe their entry-level position or whatever. It's better than just, you know, hiring somebody off the street. So we figure our best bet is to implement it in the high school CAPE program, then, you know, on at Lamar, and that way these guys will get the best employee that we could give them.
Sorry.
And the other thing is that they are willing to participate at both level in the high school based upon what Sal's saying, both at the high school level and the college level in training these folks.
We are. In fact, we have already been involved with Lamar, mostly Lamar Beaumont, bringing teams from different engineering organizations to do demonstrations and have them ask questions. And it's an awareness, right? Because we're a different kind of business than what you normally would have around here, and so people don't know. But we do like to go into schools and would very much like the opportunity to go and have our say, so to speak, as to, you know, what skill sets do we like, what skill sets are necessary to make it in a little bit different kind of business, and would love to come alongside the educational side.
What are those skill
Right.
sets?
Well, a bunch. We can talk, kind of divide maybe into some broad categories: mechanical engineering, electrical, and software. So let's talk just very quickly about that. In mechanical engineering, the skill sets are actually a little bit different than what you would need to work at a refinery, say. The typical mechanical engineer, and forgive me if I oversimplify it, but in a plant or in piping, designing piping and platforms, your entire life is spent designing things that are never ever supposed to move. You know, a platform, for example, a set of pipes is never supposed to go anywhere. Well, ours are machines. Ours are moving machines, and it's a little different skill set. It's called machine design: gears, pulleys, gear trains, motors, things that actuate and move, and something, you know, you saw machinery moving. So it's a little bit different kind of skill set, a little different focus on mechanical engineering. In electrical, there will be a little more overlap with the standard skill set you might need in a plant. Programming, wiring and troubleshooting. Those electrical skills there's a good crossover with what the skill you would need at a plant. A lot of the same sorts of things. Writing code, here's where we would need to build some skill that normally doesn't come out of the university. Universities have been focused on what does it take to produce a PLC programmer to do well in a plant. And that's a great skill to have, and that's part of what we do. But some of this other data handling and the navigation of things, and when you step back on a system that's this big, and you've got product moving from 100 different production lines, making its way and being tracked and accounted for down to some gantry robots that stack, there's a little bit different approach to software and requirement for data handling and some of the heuristic algorithms that are there. So a little bit different flavor to some of those skill sets.
We use a lot of drafting as well.
That's right.
Drafting services is very, very common.
It is.
We like to get drafting in also from an internship for applications engineers. So people that are in school going to become mechanical engineers, we like to have those guys come in before they graduate to train them. It's this: you're designing, you're setting up, you're bringing your experience to bear under guidance to what these solutions. for the end user. And so after 1 to 2 years of having that experience, it allows us to find those people that are really good at it and the ones you want to keep and maintain. Other ones usually get snatched because they have such good field experience on machinery now, not just pipe design, where they're getting picked up by service contracts where people like Temple Inland or Exxon or anywhere around here, they'll just, it's hard keeping people because we'll get them trained and we'll get them educated on how to maintain equipment and service equipment, and then Exxon comes in and offers them a price that we just can't competitively offer.
There are a pool of kids that I know of now that are into robotics. Actually,
It is.
and they love coding. And believe it or not, they're not interested in working for the plants.
Right.
So
Let's give them something to do. Let's give them something to do with that interest. Yes, sir.
A workforce on the way. I'm one of those that I just never would go into the
Yes,
to
sir.
the plant. So I'm glad to see that y'all coming this way.
Thank you.
I knew about your company from being in Beaumont, and I'm just excited. My last question, because I code, what language do y'all
What
prefer?
language? Well, you're getting down to the brass tacks. We use a few. For the level of programming you do to make a machine go, you would program some of that in PLC ladder logic, some of that in PLC structured text. The upper level that decides what's going to happen overall, you'd be programming in C, .NET, some. Occasionally, it's appropriate to use a web language like Java or PHP. So those kind of, but a real programmer, he or she, if you know how to program and think, these are just dialects, okay? And you can pick up a different programming language easy if you're familiar with the constructs and thinking process. Those are.
Most of your jobs are high-tech jobs.
Well, we have quite a few welding, mechanical, like mechanics, electricians, field electricians, wiring technicians, because everything we manufacture, we set all of this up typically on our shop floor. So we need these people in-house, welding, fabricating, painting, machine shop. We'll have CNCs where we'll be machining our parts. So we need machinists. These guys are going to be setting them up. Same people that set them up typically tear them down, go to the field wherever, and we're talking all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and set them up.
My next question was, you said something about incorporating it with the school, with the K. How would you do that with the students?
Typically, what we've done in the past is we've set up internships. First of all, we typically invite the kids in, usually the first half of the year, to let them have about a semester or full semester of just class learning. Then we invite them in, we give them a tour, and then they'll have people say, here's applicants. And then we'll depending on the student, what their work study is. Some people, if they're full-time students, our normal work days are typically 8 to 5, sometimes a little bit later. So having students come in after hours is pretty problematic unless we're in a second shift scenario. So usually it's people that can do work studies that can come in after noon, and then they'll be part of the weld shop, or they'll be field wiring panels in the electrical panel shop or something like that. Okay, from a high school basis. College, it's typically totally different.
In our CAPE facility, well, in CT, we teach a number of those things that you just named. But what would be great, and I'm sure George already has talked to you about this, is to kind of give us like a checklist of what it is that you would like to see, because we're able to, and just throw in a number of different things with the amount of time that we spend with our kids on a weekly basis. So
Right.
We
would love to do that. Sure. And I think a lot of it is awareness, right? People don't know how this stuff is done. And so we can take a group of interested kids, young adults, and say, hey, here's how we approach this. Think about this, focus on that. Because you have some talented folks out there that want to learn and are not sure what to learn, perhaps. And so.
the hard thing typically, even with interns, is most of them come in with the expectation that they're going to make $30 an hour. And the hardest thing to tell them is, you're an intern, you don't know anything. And that's, you have to work up to $30 an hour. This is, that's the biggest obstacle we've had to overcome time and time again, which makes it painful for us, because you invest time, money, and effort to train these kids, and it's one of my questions on every applicant. Can you guarantee me at least a year and a half? I need at least a year and a half guarantee. If you can guarantee me that, I'm willing to be serious with you. But if I can't, it's not worth our time, because it costs us more than it costs.
I think that's the same anywhere, right?
Right.
It's the same in any business. Yeah. Right.
One of the things, Commissioner, that if you go back to your budget, I think your previous budget, we had budget $300,000 for training, and we went up to $400,000. That $100,000 is specifically for what these guys are talking about in the school systems. That's why we went up.
We've taken a lot of your time. We're happy to take more, but now it's done.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you so much. We really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for your
much,
time.
guys.
Thank you.
I wish it would have worked earlier.
Okay, well, agenda item number 4, to discuss for possible consideration the terms and conditions of an economic incentive for Robogistics LLC.
Yes, Madam Chairman and Commissioners, in your package, we gave you guys our recommendation. Our recommendation is to provide them with an incentive of $495,100.
I have a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 4. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, to discuss for possible consideration the terms and conditions of an economic incentive for Motion Industries.
I need to pass out some additional sheet, Joni. Where did I put it? Right here. Okay. You guys who've been here 6-7 months kind of remember Motion Industry. It's a little different, and I want to explain this to you guys before. Motion Industry currently is the old Drago building, and they're on Houston Avenue. And when they first came to us, we looked at them and we said we wanted to try to keep them downtown because we was trying to revitalize downtown. Well, the deal did not work with the tenant and the owner, so they start looking around. Their goal is to consolidate their Grove store and their Port Arthur store into one location, and that's here in Port Arthur. We don't see a lot of job creation. We see some additional sales tax coming into Port Arthur, and this incentive is based upon sales tax. Unlike a lot of other businesses that we deal with, manufacturers, Drago produce a lot of sales tax, okay? So what we did here, the sheet I just passed out to you guys, I went back and looked at the sales tax that Drago received in Port Arthur. The first column is Port Arthur, and if you look at, for the 4 years that I looked at, it was about $191,000, $192,000 in sales tax that they received in Port Arthur, which is an average of about $47,000, $48,000 a year in sales tax that the city of Port Arthur obtained. Then I went to Groves, and I look at Groves. I was only able to pull 3 years of Grove sales tax, and they average only $13,000 a year. So what you have here, I looked at a 5-year contract at for both Port Arthur sales tax, and Grove sales tax, and that came up with $795,000. And that's what we're asking you to award Drago for moving both of their companies here in Port Arthur. How they plan to pay us back is a dollar for dollar sales tax. The city, most municipalities have what we call a 380 agreement. A 380 agreement is a rebate of the sales tax. You know, when we go to the store, we pay sales tax. And what municipalities does to a lot of businesses is rebate back that sales tax to you to a certain dollar amount. You know, let's say $1 million. You pay sales tax up to $1 million. The city receives that sales tax, they rebate it back to you. What we're doing here, because it's not a lot of job creation, is saying, okay, we're going to do a 380, but we're going to pay you sales tax up front, and we're going to reduce it through every year for 5 years, and that's how you come to zero. Now, because this project is not a job creation project, I put in some caveat for these guys saying, if you hire Port Arthur resident, we'll give you a dollar for dollar credit for the payroll that you pay Port Arthur, trying to entice them to hire Port Arthur resident. You know, so they could work off their sales tax in less than 5 years if they go out and hire some Port Arthur folks. You know, if they hire them paying $50,000 a year, they get $50,000 credit toward that $300 that we're asking you to go. So it's a little different. Kate, can I say it any different, or did I explain it right?
Explained it right. It is a tad different than what we've done in the past because, like Mr. Batiste said, normally we tie it to job creation and you get a certain credit for each job created, but this is kind of a mixed one where they would get credit for hiring Port Arthur residents, but that's not the main requirement. The requirement instead is to move their whole business into Port Arthur and generate a certain amount of sales tax. But just like all incentives, you'll have it collateralized. So if they defaulted, you know, they would have to, and we've talked to them about it. They're looking into possibly putting up a letter of credit or possibly a surety bond, so they know they have to collateralize the incentive. So you are secure in that way, and we're still working on negotiating all the terms. So like all of your incentives, tonight you're just approving the amount in the terms and conditions, and then at your June meeting, hopefully, we'll have the incentive for you guys to review.
Are they planning on moving to the Drago building on Houston Avenue?
No, sir. They're going to plan. They purchasing a building in the business park.
Where? Oh, in the business park?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
Okay. All right. It's a pre-existing building.
Right.
Yes.
They're going to move all their operations to that building.
I
Yes,
got
sir.
What is what's the benefit of this particular incentive, so I can understand?
The benefit here is the additional sales tax, and we think the sales tax is going to be much larger than what they've been paying because of the time, and also property tax. That building is currently vacant now, and going to have additional property tax. And the other caveat is possible employment, because if that business grows, we will, within our agreement, we will have our first source referral within this contract. So hopefully we get some employment from this also.
Any other questions? May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Been moved and second to approve agenda item number 5. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Are there any reports tonight, Mr. Batiste?
I'm going to give a little small report. I think, George, I'm going to need you to help me out. Currently, they have started the remediation on 549 Fort Street. They started that today. We have gone through the process with the subcommittee we had nine applicants who applied for contract management. We narrowed that down to 4. We had 7, I'm sorry. We narrowed it down to 4, and tomorrow we're going to spend the day interviewing 4 candidates for selecting a contractor. We're moving along with that. And the only other thing I would say, I was told today that we have our 20 kids ready for this summer. We plan to have them before the council at the next council meeting. Is that right? June the 4th. If I can get them here the 3rd, you guys at night, council meeting during the daytime. We're going to have our scholarship kids and show off our scholarship kids and also our summer intern kids to the council on the 4th. You know, we have some very good sites that these kids very good jobs that they're going to be working at. So we are very excited about what's going to happen to these 25 kids.
Any other comments from any other staff?
No, ma'am.
George, anything you need? Okay. All right. At this time, we'll move to a closed session. A closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Section 551.071 to discuss with attorney pending and potential litigation. Section 551.072. Section 551.074 to discuss matters of personnel, the Chief Executive Officer's performance evaluation, and Section 551.87. There being no further business, we'll recess to executive session. That we took to oh, I'm sorry, yes, please. I am in a hurry.
Mr. Sherfers?
Here.
Commissioner Smith? President Holmes?
Here.
Commissioner LeBeau? Madam Chairman, you have a floor.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, to discuss for possible consideration rescinding the approval to sell property located at 4th Street between Mobile and Shreveport to a Landon Robertson Jeremiah Roberts Sr. I have a motion,
moved.
please. It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3, to discuss for possible consideration entering into a purchase agreement with NDC Housing and Economic Development for property located at 4th between Mobile and Shreveport. May I have a motion, please? May I have a second? It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 3. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Any other business to discuss? There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? It's been moved and second to adjourn the May 20th meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposition? All right, let's go home. See you all in June.